Welcome back again to another episode of our book club on Barack Obama's book, A Promised Land. This is chapter 3. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Everything that you do helps us. I want to jump right into it. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. And I thought this was a really great chapter for Thanksgiving because it speaks to a lot of things that we have to be thankful for. We have to be thankful for adversity. We have to be thankful for an ability to lean on family. We have to be thankful for opportunity. And then we have to be thankful that God gave us the will to persevere through things that maybe other people wouldn't persevere through. And so, like for me, this chapter comes down to three things, and or it breaks down into three different sections. It's the rededication to family, his run to his Senate seat, and the snowball effect all of that had, and his realization that the Senate was just not going to be good enough to get done ultimately what he felt in his heart he needed to do. As always, as coaches, we want to make parallels, and we've been taught. If you've ever read the 360-degree leader, if you haven't, I recommend that you do so. A good friend of mine, Carlos Blake, put me on to the book. I really enjoyed it. But in there it says to be a leader at whatever level you're at, and I think that what we realize as coaches is sometimes we get to a level and that's enough. That satisfies the itch. But then there are other times where we get to a level we go, this isn't enough. I feel I can do more. And the only way to do more is to ascend to another level. Two questions, or at least a question. How do you regroup after failure? The beginning of chapter 3 is the aftermath of President Obama's probably one of his biggest failures, which was him making a run at a congressional seat where he just got slaughtered by another opponent in Illinois. And he rededicated himself to his job. He rededicated himself to his family. I think that we as coaches, sometimes when we suffer a defeat or when things don't go our way, we look to, okay, where is the center? Where do we get back to regroup before we either take another shot at it or we figure out whether or not this is what we should be doing with our lives. And obviously, if you've been coaching for as many years as I've been coaching or more, you realize that every time you do that, you come back to it's not time to move on. It's just time to regroup and get better and make some adjustments. Spending more time at home, being more of a presence in his family's life was important to him. I think sometimes we lose balance. That work-life balance that coaches need, that leaders need in order to stay centered, sometimes can get off kilter in our pursuit of whatever that grand thing may be out there for us. And so I think for President Obama, it was important for him to rededicate himself to his family and rededicate himself to the jobs that he already had. What he was doing in the state Senate, not in the state Senate, but in his state government, state politics, and what he was doing at his job as a law professor and working with those kids, what he was doing in whatever law he might be doing on the side to make money. He was talking about getting his finances straight, which a lot of times many of us coaches we don't think about because we're only thinking in the moment of the game and preparation for the game and realizing, okay, we have to start thinking about the beyond because it may not just be us that we're concerned with. But in doing that and in taking those measures, thinking maybe, okay, this is the end for him, because he said he thought that maybe he could get one more thing passed in the swan song. He realized that what he was trying to do can't be accomplished at the level that he's at and couldn't even be accomplished as a congressman, which is why he jumped it and went, I'm going to run for Senate. And, the The funny part of it is that he knew the odds were stacked against him, and his wife was against it, but there was something inside of his head, his heart, that told him he needed to continue to go about this trek. And so that Senate run and how he was able to make that run through and ultimately win a Senate seat as such a young and inexperienced politician is amazing. He has a line in the book. He says, whether in sports or politics, it's hard to understand the precise nature of momentum, but we had it. And it feels like that sometimes when you're a coach. Like if you've got that momentum, maybe you had a really good recruiting class and you stacked a couple of them in a row and now you've gotten wins, and you'll notice that recruiting's a lot easier when you have a good recruiting class and then wins behind it. It becomes much easier to then recruit the next year and so on and so forth. Or if you're in high school and you get you have a class of kids that are really a good class and they're the leaders for you, and they kind of push the agenda of what you want the team to be without you having to say much. That's a great momentum to have. Normally that's followed by winning. That comes after winning. But having that momentum and being able to use it, he says about how it's hard to understand the precise nature of that. And I think that all we can do is harness it for as long as we can and enjoy the ride. His realization, he got into the Senate and he wanted to be a working senator. He actually talks about the former first lady and Senator Hillary Clinton, and how she came in with a lot of fanfare and a lot of popularity, and she went about the business of being a working citizen. I mean, a working senator, someone who actually like got in and did the work and wasn't just a glamour senator, somebody that was there. And so he avoided the national spotlight. But then Hurricane Katrina happened. And when Hurricane Katrina happened, he realized that what he wanted to do in the Senate wouldn't get done because of all of the posturing that went on in the Senate. And again, I go back to what I was speaking about earlier. There are times where we as coaches realize, as much as I like it here, as much as I like doing this doesn't get me to my end goal where I feel like I could be the most successful. And that's probably when he started thinking about running for president, thinking about that higher office. How do you regroup after failure? What do you do? Do you change everything? Do you reassess and say, you know what, there's some tweaks? Or do you put your head down and say, you know what, I believe in what I'm doing and I'm going to move forward, and I know that if I work hard enough at this, then it can be successful. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong answer as a coach, as a leader. I think that it just all depends on you being honest with yourself. If there's a wholesale change needed, make a wholesale change. If there's adjustments that need to be made, make adjustments. If you feel like you're on the right path and you think that that's the way to go, be willing to die with your decision. Because at the end of the day, the only people that are going to be held accountable are you as a coach. And so we have to remember that whenever we get involved with a decision or a direction as a leader, that whatever happens, we're going to be responsible for that. It was a really good chapter. People's expectations versus your own expectations. You have to be careful. And President Obama mentions that, there was what everybody wanted him to be versus what he wanted to be. And he realized that he had to continue to move forward with what his vision was, as opposed to what maybe people on the outside believed that he should have. It was some really interesting words in chapter 3. I really thought it was inspirational and definitely spoke to the mindset of a leader when he's making his ascent and getting to the place that he ultimately feels he needs to be in order to do what he wants to do and what he feels necessary to do. And so a great look at that from a chapter. I really enjoyed reading chapter 3. Please join us tomorrow, chapter 4. Really think that this book is something that if you're a coach, it can help you kind of just see it from a different perspective. So until next time, this has been the book club for Promised Land, chapter 4, Magic Beans. Find out what Magic Beans means if you haven't read chapter 3 yet. And I've been Coach Gene Clemens. We'll see you next time.